Hello, my name is Daniel Ayton. I've been a member of the Gastronomes now for 5 years. It all started when I was 8 years old. That's when my first job started. My parents had a restaurant and I started washing up, progressed through, and then went on to the salad side and a bit of pastry work. Life isn't always sailing. My toughest job was out in Nigeria. I flew out there for a week's stint and I was preparing a function for 5,000 people. Went out there, the kitchen had no staff, no equipment or anything, so it was just basically three chefs, and we prepared within the 4 days a function for the 5,000 people. What I learned from that the following year was obviously I was ready for it, ready for anything. I knew what I was going into, so I can make the allowances for it. So basically always do your research and find out what you've got to do. My favourite job was actually working for a chef called Ralph Pucciani. It was at the Balmoral in Edinburgh. I was there for probably about a year and a half, worked in 2 different areas of the kitchen. Why was it my favourite? Purely because the hours I was doing very many hours. I was probably finishing at 2 in the morning and starting again at 6 in the morning. But what I learned in that year and a half was amazing. So sometimes you just got to think, the bigger picture is learning your craft is sometimes more important than the unpleasantries of the hours that we sometimes have to do. Okay, my favourite guest was Ratan Tata. He basically owns the Tata Corporation, which includes Taj. And when you think that he probably owns about half of the world through all his companies, and he was so down to earth and respectful to every one of his employees, he was a pleasant person to know, purely because, to say, you didn't know he was there, and nothing was too much trouble to give him, purely because, to say, he was so pleasant. My most memorable experience was probably doing a canopy party for the Queen and some heads of state at Marlborough House. Didn't get to see many of them, obviously being in the kitchen. We did manage to do a lineup at the end, so that will stay with me for a long, long time. The industry has changed in so many ways, but I would say probably the best and most beneficial is chefs are no longer considered to be someone who shouldn't be seen. Now there's so much more interaction with the guests. You can give the personal service, you go out, you talk to the guests, find out exactly what they want, and obviously provide a far better service. If I could look back and give myself some advice, I would probably, most important would be shut up and listen, probably. You don't know everything when you're young. You've got to learn your craft. So listen to those that know what they're doing. The second one would be not to chase money. Choose your jobs carefully. It's not always right. The money that's waved in your face doesn't necessarily mean that you'll have the happiness of your job. What your job can develop into and offer other people is far, far greater. The third bit of advice I would give is, whenever you can, always give a little bit back. Once you've learned things, don't be afraid to pass it on. You never stop learning, and you can never stop teaching. My proudest moment is probably about 2 years ago. I've been with the World MasterChef Society for some time now, and I've progressed up through the ranks, and I'm now the Senior Vice President of that. And then last year I was also made the President of the Disciples of Escoffier UK, and just held a very successful dinner where I inaugurated 12 new members.